Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 233 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined this week by the undefeated heavyweight / cruiserweight prospect, I'd say, Mr. Hasim Rahman Jr. Hasim, welcome back on the show. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm gold-blooded. You know what it is, man. Make sure y'all tap into Joey Podcast and enjoy the show.
For sure. Let's start with you. Where are you right now, in terms of your career? Obviously undefeated, all fights have been at heavyweight, but you're kind of looking down at cruiserweight a little bit. Where's your head at right now?
Right now, I see that, boxing is obviously boxing is on pause. I got no job. No boxer has a job right now. We can't fight, and the job inside of not being able to fight is to maintain yourself and stay in shape. And throughout my career, I have struggled to maintain over 220 pounds, even though I've tried. But it's been a constant battle, and I feel like the competition level is something that I'm at the top of at the cruiserweight division. I can compete with the best, and I feel like with more fights and more experience under my belt, my weight will continue to drop. And we'll be battling for a cruiserweight world title. That's my dream. My dream is to become a world champion. And if I can do it at cruiserweight and do it at heavyweight, that'll be my Hall of Fame credentials. I want to be a 2-division world champion and get my respect in the sport that I know I'm gonna earn. And I know I can make cruiserweight the weight limit. That's not a problem. So why not go down there, cause havoc, get some big money fights, get some big knockouts, bring some big attention to the cruiserweight division, because there's other heavyweights that have talked about going to cruiserweight as well. A fight that I'm very interested in, Deontay Wilder. He mentioned going to cruiserweight. I'll meet Deontay Wilder at cruiserweight, and then if you don't like the way that fight went out, we can do it again at heavyweight. So there's a lot of big money fights at cruiserweight. I think for me, being Hasim Rahman Jr., world champion, I have a following Las Vegas, have a following Baltimore City, have a following out of California, out of Mexico, out of Southern Texas. It's only going to continue to grow the more I keep fighting and the more I expand my career and show the world my skills. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to say that I'm a world champion and that I was one of the best to do it.
And Hasim, obviously, you talk a lot about cruiserweight there. Your next fight, in all honesty, obviously, again, with this situation that everyone's kind of staying indoors, not everyone is being able to train as freely as usual. Your next fight, do you see it being at heavyweight or being at cruiser?
I see my next fight, my next maybe 2 to 3 fights will maybe be at heavyweight. Okay. This cruiserweight chase, this is not something that needs to be done overnight. This is not something that needs to be done in my next fight. This is something that I have a goal. I set my eyes on it. When I get when it gets right time and I can get a fight at cruiserweight that'll give me rank, it only makes sense to go ahead and take that fight. At heavyweight, I feel like I would be one of the smaller guys, but I feel my speed, my power, my movement is definitely major factors in the heavyweight division. My defense, going down to cruiserweight, it'd be a whole different type of fighter. And I can only thank my dad for putting me with different trainers and putting me through the whole every amateur program, every great coach that you could pretty much think of that we had access to, I trained with. And that'll allow me to adapt my style at cruiserweight, where I'll be throwing more punches, and I'll probably be doing the running down instead of the moving, because I'll be one of the bigger guys at cruiserweight. I've met some of the bigger cruiserweights, and they're not too much bigger than me. So if bigger than me at all. I mean, Alexander Usyk, he wasn't bigger than me. He was just taller. He was a little taller than me. So with that being said, I feel like Usyk's a great fighter. I do feel like I can beat him. I do feel like I can beat anybody that was at the cruiserweight division, anybody that was at the heavyweight division. That's how I'm supposed to think. So if I can make cruiserweight, why wouldn't I want to go down like the great Evander Holyfield, who was 2-division world champion? Why wouldn't I want to go down like David Haye? David Haye was a 2-division world champion. These guys were not the biggest heavyweight, but their speed, their movement, their punch volume gave people problems, even the biggest of people. Holyfield came and knocked out Mike Tyson from the cruiserweight division. So anything can be done if you put your mind to it. I have the best team in boxing. Hasim Rahman, my head coach, my sports marketing team, B-Def, and everybody that's a part of the Hasim Rahman Jr. title chase is greatly appreciated. And I definitely want to, like I said, give a huge shout out to my dad, Hasim Rahman, and my sports marketing team, B-Def.
Shout out to B-Def. I've got my hoodie in the other room. I want to mention there, that's what I was going to say. Obviously, you talk about the dream to become a world champion. Of course it is. You want to do it at cruiserweight. You want to do it at heavyweight. Not many people, have managed to do that. Where does this belief come from, Hasim? I know where it comes from, but I'm just saying some people may listen and say, yeah, okay, your dad was a great fighter, he become a heavyweight world champion, but where does this come from? You're 9-0, haven't really boxed any known names just yet, 4 KOs, but I know you've done sparring with some good fighters. I don't know if you want to talk about any of it. What can you tell us? Who can you tell us that you've sparred and held your own against?
I mean, the biggest name I could say right now, the biggest guy I could say is Corbett Pruitt. He's about to fight for a world title. I'm pretty sure he's going to give Anthony Joshua a good run for his money. But, I gave him a good run for his money, and this is when I only had 3 or 4 fights. And I've never been, I'm not going to say never. I haven't been outclassed in the ring by very many people. When you're outclassed in the ring, you feel it. Like, man, I'm not on this guy's level. I feel like the way that I was raised to watch a man bring his life from nothing, bring his life from the streets. And it's not like I wasn't there. Watching him put in the work, watching him do what he do, and he put his mind to it, and he got a world title. The proof is in the pudding. And you put your mind to anything, you can do it. I believe in myself. I don't need nobody else to believe in me. I got my dad. I got B-Def behind me. I know that we are going places. I know that when I get in there and it's my turn, I'm going to bite down, and I'm going to put on all my skills, everything I've learned since I was a kid. And it doesn't really, you can't really feed into too much into people saying, oh, well, your dad was a great fighter, but you won't be much. Hey, what does history show us? History shows us that. Look at Marvis Frazier. Look at Tommy Morrison's sons. These look at George Foreman's sons. And I don't mean any shade by that, but I'm just saying this is a hard thing to do. Boxing is a hard sport to become great in. And I know what's ahead of me. I know what I have to overcome, and I've seen it. And on top of that, I've seen my peers do it. The people that I grew up with are world champions right now. My class of who I was fighting with in the amateurs, these guys are the guys that are just racking up world titles right now. So people who know my history, they know I had a minor setback, but I'm back, and I'm right behind those guys. I feel like my talent level is, if not above, right with theirs. So there's no reason for me not to at least compete at the world level, stage. So once I get there, all I have to do is be Hasim Rahman and shock the world. And when it's my turn again, I'll show them that Hasim Rahman Jr. is a better version of Hasim Rahman. And then after me, it'll be Sharif Rahman. And then after him, it'll be Hassan Rahman. And the Rahman legacy will continue to be a factor in the boxing world, regardless of who has a problem with it.
And obviously, in this quarantine time, a lot of us have been left to just really go on YouTube and watch back old fights. I know that you've been, asking people on Twitter and stuff like that. Give me a fight I should go back and look at. Give me a fight I should go back and score. You've done it. You've done it pretty much every day. You've been posting your scores on various different fights. Which fights have you, most enjoyed watching back over and rescoring?
It's funny because two fights come to mind, and it's Lennox Lewis versus Holyfield and the rematch. Those fights were amazing performances in my opinion by Lennox Lewis. I mean, both fights I thought he won very wide. I don't understand the controversy behind these fights. It was he put on a tremendous display of boxing ability in both fights. I thought that the man just showed you how to be a heavyweight, how to be the heavyweight champ in both fights, especially the first one. I think that was like just clearly a robbery. And then the second one was I thought Holyfield won 2 rounds, maybe 3 if you give him the last round. So I think that those fights, and I'm glad that people ask me to do those fights because I have a different eye for how I score the fights, and it's been lining up with a lot of the top judges that are in boxing right now. So it's giving me a better understanding of the game. It's giving me a better understanding of time management in the round and what punches are the best scoring shots. And it's just been another way for me to study and to develop my game while we're in the quarantine. And I plan on continue to score fights when we get out, whenever the quarantine is over. But, I mean, why not spend my time watching boxing, the sport that I love, and scoring it the way that I will be scored in the meantime while we can't do anything.
And I see, you're using Twitter to your advantage lately. Obviously, I think when we probably first ever did an interview, I don't even think you had a Twitter, or if you did, you didn't really use it much. Now you seem to be, like I say, interacting with people about old fights, stuff like that. But I read a tweet that you sent out the other day, basically, saying that you'd like to fight in the future Tommy McCarthy. I remember reading it and thinking, why? How? Like, what made you want to fight Tommy McCarthy of all people? And how did you even find him?
I'm a boxing geek, man. I love boxing. I love the sport. So when I do my research, I go really do it. So it wasn't anything personal with Tommy. I'll beat his ass. I'll tell you that much. But what it was is he holds a version of the WBC, like a minor title at the cruiserweight level. So it wasn't just Tommy McCarthy. It was whoever would have had that title. That's the title that you get to get in line to fight for the big one, which is held by, I forget his name. It's like he's African. He just won the title, Elagba or something like that. He has the WBC title. So it's Tommy
Jagba's the heavyweight. What am I talking about?
No. He's a heavyweight. It's a cruiserweight. I think his name's Martin Elag. I forget his name exactly.
Do you know who that is?
WBC
That's the guy that Tony Bellew knocked out. What's his name?
He fought. Tony Bellew.
Do you know who that is?
Do
you know who that actually is?
No, I don't.
That's Martin Bacoli's brother. You know that, right?
That's an awesome fight. I would love to fight. I would love to take his belt.
No, but that is actually.
Is he trained by Billy Nelson?
No, he's not trained by Billy Nelson. But that is actually his blood brother. It's not. They're actually blood brothers. They got the same surname.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people know that, but yeah, they're actually related.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that would be a awesome fight. There's a backstory to it. My team's gonna be there. We're gonna be there wherever the fight may take place. And like I said, Tommy McCarthy, he's just in the way. That's it. I mean, if there's a fight at cruiserweight, like I said earlier, if there's a fight at cruiserweight that makes sense, 4 or 5 fights from that, it would be that one. That one would put me into at least another fight that'll be for a mandatory spot. I'm not coming to cruiserweight to play games and to climb rankings. I'm coming to cruiserweight to make a vicious splash. And if Tommy McCarthy has to be the first one to go out the cruiserweight rankings, then that's just what it is. I've been telling you, Joy, I've been wanting to come overseas and display my skills so that I could show the world that this is real. And Tommy McCarthy would be in for a hell of a beating if they put us in that square circle. And like I said before, it wasn't nothing personal where I just picked him. He's a version of the champion of the World Boxing Council. I want that green belt. I'm coming for that green belt. And anybody in that way is just a casualty of war.
Now, that's a fight I'd love to see for sure. Talking of fights, though, that I'd love to see, I want to ask you about some of the fights you'd like to see take place in 2020. I mean, it's seeming like, this whole virus, we all, as a globe, really underestimated, I think, the severity of it. The lockdowns and the quarantines have just extended. The death rate is just climbing by the day. It's scary times. We're not sure when it's going to be okay to stage a boxing event. So it's looking like probably most fighters are going to. I mean, it's even crazy to give this prediction, but it's looking like probably, if you're lucky, you might get to fight once in the year of 2020. By the way things are looking. The good thing, dare I say good thing, is that all of these fighters now are kind of on the same timeline, like there's guys that boxed just before the virus, started spreading all over the world. Those guys now have been out of the ring. Yeah.
I just fought before the virus.
Exactly. So there's a lot of guys now that are all kind of equally as inactive as each other, So everyone's kind of on the same timeline. There's no real reason why straight away we can't see some big fights. What are some of the fights you'd like to see, though, in a realistic world in 2020, any division?
I'd like to see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. I'd like to see
who wins that
Wilder and Fury 3. Which one?
Fury Joshua.
I think Fury wins. I think Fury wins. I think that Fury can only be beaten by maybe a couple heavyweights out there, and I think that he's smart enough not to fight him. And namely Michael Hunter. I don't think he can beat Michael Hunter. They've already fought. He knows that Michael Hunter is just as much a student as himself. And he knows that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are not. So with all due respect, these men are champions. These men are world champions. They all are great fighters. They all deserve tremendous amount of credit. I just think that Michael stands out as the best. I don't think that they can hit him. I don't think that they can touch him enough and as frequent as they want to. And I believe that Mike brought his B game or maybe B- game to the Povetkin fight. And when he brings his A game, it's a sight to see. It's a sight to see for the whole boxing world. But as for more fights, I like to see Canelo fight Demetrius Andrade. I would like to see Charlo and Harrison fight again. I would like to see Spence fight. I'd love to see Spence in action. Obviously, Spence and Crawford is what everybody wants to see. I'd love to see Spence and Brooke go at it again, which I believe Spence will prevail. Yeah, and I definitely want to see Danny Garcia in action. And going lower, I know Keith Hunter is making a splash at the 140 division. And obviously, man, the lightweight division, Gervonta Davis, Robert Easter, oh my goodness, Devin, the Dream, Haney, which I believe is the next superstar in boxing. And then you got another superstar in boxing, Shakur Stevenson. You got Sharif Rockman. All these fighters are fighters that I want to see in 2020. And that if we can't see them in 2020, I want to see these guys go at it in 2021. Jerron Ennis. It's just so many fighters that
Teofimo
I love to
Lopez.
Watch. And I want to see what big Teofimo Lopez. I wish that he would have had a few more fights before he jumped in the fight in Loma, but I want to see that fight, and I want to see how Big Baby does when he's clean. And these are just a few of the fights that I would want to see. At cruiserweight, I'd love to see Breedis and Dorticos. That's gonna be a great fight. And then also There's one more, Bivol, and I believe his name is Shimanov. I definitely, or Beterbiev. I believe one of the two. I know there's a big fight. I think it's Beterbiev and Bivol that are supposed to fight. And these are all great fights. I can't wait to see. And I want to see somebody make a comeback. I want to see somebody in the boxing world make a comeback because that hasn't happened in a while in boxing. So if somebody could jump back out the what would seem to be the fire, such as Chris Pearson. Let's say Chris Pearson, who was hot, and he suffered 2 defeats. I want to see somebody put them defeats behind them and come and show the world that they are a champion, whether they have a loss or not. Just like Tony Harrison did. He had 2 losses. He came in and he came back. The comeback story. I love a comeback story. My father had 2 losses when he knocked out Lynch. So it's two knockout losses. One of them being pretty bad. So for a fighter to be able to fight that and put that behind them and to climb the ladder to their stair to being a world champion, that I would love to see that again. And people being counted out, just like Helenius against Kawanaki. That was a tremendous upset, and I was happy for Helenius. I was in the building that day, and I could feel it. Before the fight, they were showing that man no love. They were being rude. The Polish fans were being rude, and I have never been in a crowd that was so shocked. I've never, no matter what sport, I've been to basketball games, football games, soccer, hockey, you name it. I've been there. I've never seen a crowd that shocked as they were in the Barclays that night. I'm talking about pure silence. When Kawanaki was stopped, they went silent, and that's what I love about boxing, because you have to fight the fights. Nobody wins when before the fight starts. Every one of my fights, I had to go out there and win. Every boxer's fight, they had to go out there and win it. That's the beauty of boxing, and I love a comeback story. And I would love to see somebody who's counted out in this boxing game. I would love to see them work through this quarantine and go get a world title. That would be a great story.
David Hay. No, I'm joking.
If David Hay want to come back, I'm right here.
I think we might see Sergio Martinez
I would love to
come
do
back.
that. That's actually something. You said who?
Sergio Martinez, former middleweight champion.
Sergio Martinez?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if his knees gonna hold up. His knees was like very frail when he was active. I mean, you'll go through. I don't know how you can when it comes to injuries like that. It's like those are injuries that are reoccurring and they're tough injuries to get over. So I don't know about Sergio Martinez, but like I said, I would love to see somebody come back. And if somebody want to come back at the heavyweight division or cruiserweight division, my door is wide open. So I would love to make a splash. And there's been talks of me fighting some guys who are done with their careers, but I didn't want to do that. Like I don't want to fight a Roy Jones Jr. I mean, why I want to fight Roy Jones Jr. at this stage of my career? He's clearly done. I'm clearly on the rise. That's not something I want on my record where I took advantage. And I just want to maintain the energy that I have now, where I'm full speed ahead and I'm taking on all challenges to be a world champion. And I want to see every fighter come out of this quarantine like that.
Yeah, I mean, talking of comebacks, I'd love to see Frankie Gomez make a comeback, man. Whatever happened to Frankie Gomez? A brilliant fighter.
Oh, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah. What happened to him? Do you know?
Yes. I fought with Frankie a lot. No, I don't know. I don't know what happened to Frankie.
It's a real shame. But yeah, moving on. Let's talk about the current heavyweight division, Hasim. How would you rank from... You can either do a top 5 or a top 10 if you really want. How do you see it from number 1 to number 10 right now in the heavyweights?
Okay, I could do a top 5. Now, when it comes to ranking these fighters, I'm not going to rank them based on what the sanctioning bodies say or who the sanctioning bodies think is number 1. I'm going to give you my top 5 heavyweights, which would be Michael Hunter, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Alexander Usyk, and then I would have to say Anthony Joshua.
So you.
I would have to say Anthony Joshua. So yeah, Hunter Fury. What I say? Did I say Usyk?
You said Wilder, then Usyk,
Joshua, and who else? Wilder. Okay, yeah. That's how I would say. I would say Hunter, Fury, Wilder, Usyk. That's how I would put the top 5.
See, a lot of people though would
and
say,
then Wilder and Usyk are kind of interchangeable.
I was just going to say, Usyk, obviously, he's had that one fight against Chaz Witherspoon. Is that enough to rate him higher than the likes of Dillian Whyte, higher than the likes of Luis Ortiz even, and these guys?
My rankings go on who I would think will win if they were in a fight.
Yeah.
So Michael Hunter's at the top. I think he beats Tyson Fury, but I think Tyson Fury beats Usyk. But I obviously think he beats Wilder. But Usyk and Wilder, like I said, they're interchangeable because that's a great fight. That's a great fight to see. It's a great fight to see, Usyk versus Wilder. Can he hold up to that power long enough to win the decision? A lot of people might think so. A lot of people might think he can last 12 rounds, especially given what Tyson Fury just did. And Anthony Joshua, he just showed he has another dimension to his game. So I'm just waiting to see him fight again, and he'll probably climb the rankings even higher. Right now, I think that Usyk would have the advantage because I don't think that he would be able to do to Usyk what he did to Andy Ruiz in the rematch. And I just don't know which Anthony Joshua will show up. That's the only reason why I put him in the 5th place. And, Ortiz, great fighter, but I don't think he beats anybody in my top 5. Ruiz, great fighter, but I don't think he beats any in my top 5. A close number 6 would be Povetkin. And then behind Povetkin, I would probably put Ruiz or Joseph Parker. These guys are tremendous heavyweights. They're very, very good. They're very skilled, and they've all competed at a high level. So I definitely would love to see that mix up right there. That top 5 right there, if they could get it in somehow, that would be boxing would be very, very satisfying.
See, I'd love to see a lot of these fights because, most people would say the top 3 heavyweights, and this isn't mine, this is just most people would say top 3 heavyweights, Wilder, Fury, Joshua, in any order. Under that, though, you've got the likes of Hunter, the likes of Povetkin, the likes of Pulev, the likes of Whyte, the likes of Parker, the likes of Ortiz, Ruiz. If they did some tournament there, it'd just be incredible because there's so many great fights. They may not be, everyone's.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
can you imagine a Can you imagine a WBSS at the heavyweight division?
It'd be good.
Man.
It'd be good, but because it wouldn't involve any of the champions though, so that's probably why they wouldn't be interested in it.
Yeah, I don't know. Why wouldn't it?
Nah, I just think
because they're already off.
Yeah, I think Wilder obviously being with Al Heyman. I don't think they've put any of their fighters in this tournament.
Yeah.
Fury, obviously, he's a big star right now. I don't think Aaron would want to put him in that tournament. And the World Boxing Super Series just in general seems to be, they seem to target guys that don't have massive profiles. They can be massively great fighters, but commercially, their commercial values never really top draw.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it.
I understand.
Like a Usyk.
And at the heavyweight division, everybody that's at the top has a high profile.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody that's a champion, you have a high profile. Being heavyweight champion of the world, that comes with it.
Sure.
But like you said, being cruiserweight champion of the world, they didn't have as high profile, so they was able to get the best guy.
Exactly. Even like a Inoue, he's a massive star in Japan, but in Europe, in America, stuff like that, Inoue is not a massive name. It's like that.
Right.
Again, dropping down a couple notches. You say you're a boxing geek. I don't feel like you have to be much of a geek to know these two. It's a fight that we all expected we'd see in April. It's been pushed back to July the 11th in London. Again, there's there's a lot of uncertainty if that fight will even happen on that date with the way things are going. But if we do get to see it at some stage. Joyce, Daniel Dubois. Hasim, talk to me about that one.
That's a great fight, man. That's a great fight. I'm gonna give Joe Joyce the advantage though, because he's bigger and he has more experience in the ring. He has more experience in the ring. I think that'll come into play unless Dubois can land one of those bombs, and I don't see him landing a bomb on the big guy that'll be big enough to put him down in the early rounds. I think that Joe Joyce has a tremendous work rate, tremendous punch output, and like I said, he has well-leveled experience. I will pick Joyce, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dubois came out with a knockout.
Yeah, I think a lot of people share that same view. Another fight that, again, has been pushed back. I think the latest on it was supposed to be taking place May the 2nd in Manchester. It's now been pushed back to, I think it is July the 4th at the minute. Again, no real surety that it will take place. But Dillian Whyte against Alexander Povetkin. I know that you are of the small percentage that favour Povetkin quite highly in that one, Hasim.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I definitely favor Povetkin in that fight. Like I said, I've been to a lot of boxing matches. I've seen a lot of fights. I've seen Dillian Whyte's last performance, and I've seen Alexander Povetkin's last performance. Obviously, I was in the corner of the opposite side. Alexander Povetkin, even after his losses to the elite, he never blew up in weight. He never took time off. He's been so consistent throughout his entire career. He remains in tremendous shape, and I just feel like Dillian Whyte doesn't. He is much overweight. His balance is going to be off. His speed is going to be off. I just think that he won't be able to move around Povetkin, have him looking for anything. He's going to be right there to find. I don't think that's a hard fight for Povetkin, considering the fact that he just got done in a chess match. I don't think that he would be picking his brain much to defeat Dillian Whyte.
Okay, again, it's another brilliant fight, and it's a fight that I feel is a real toss-up fight. A lot of people don't agree. A lot of people think Whyte wins it easy. No way in the world. A lot of people saying he's even going to knock Povetkin out. That one I cannot see for the life of me. No way does Povetkin get stopped by Whyte. I can't
see it either.
Yeah, I put anything on that.
When Whyte went to war, which was also another fight that I scored, and I thought Whyte won the first fight. And I literally was thinking about that fight when I made my pick. And that fight against Chisora, if he's in good shape there, he's in much worse shape now. And just Povetkin's experience. I haven't seen, man, when you watch that fight, you watch Chisora and Whyte, just fast forward to the 6th round. These guys are mouths open, swinging bombs, missing, landing. He's landing bombs on Chisora for 12 rounds and didn't knock him out in the first fight. It took him a whole another 10 rounds, 11 rounds to knock him out in the second fight. I don't think that. I think that Povetkin, being a gold medalist, being a former heavyweight world champion, I don't think that Dillian Whyte has the skill set to knock out, let alone defeat Alexander Povetkin.
Yeah, I think not even the Chisora performance in the first fight, but when you look back at Dillian Whyte, and he's been the distance. Obviously, last time out with a Marius Wack, he's been the distance with a Robert Helenius. They don't look great, in my opinion, on his record. He's been the distance with a Dave Allen over 10 rounds. People forget. No, I just can't see him being able to stop Povetkin, but we'll leave that one there. The last real thing I want to ask you, Hasim, obviously again on Twitter, you and Martin Bacoli's trainer Billy Nelson seem to always be tweeting one another. I don't know if it's love and hate between you both. What's the score there? What's your thoughts on Billy Nelson as a trainer? Firstly,
as a trainer, I think he's shit. I don't think he's much of a trainer at all. I think he's a good keyboard warrior. He can type on that Twitter real good. But as far as the trainer, I don't know his training tactics. I don't know his training techniques. But when you go back and, like I said, go back and watch the Holyfield fight when Lennox was fighting Holyfield. When you watch the in between the corners, I'm a student of the game. When you watch in between the corners, Emmanuel Stewart is telling Lennox exactly what to do, exactly where to pace his punches and what punches are coming next and what punches are open from what he sees from the outside. When you go and watch Billy Nelson in the corner, oh my goodness, it's terrible. All he's saying is that you're losing this fight, man. You're losing this fight. Don't quit on me, yeah? Like, come on, bro. You're telling this man is trying to quit in a fight. You're asking him why he isn't throwing punches. He's not answering you. He's asking you to pull him out the fight. And you take your fighter and throw him back in there with one arm. I don't have much respect for him as a trainer at all. That's why I have no problem seeing his shit, because any trainer that throws a one-handed fighter back out into the fire with the Olympian and a heavyweight at the heavyweight division, you can't tell me you care about your fighter. You cannot ever convince me that Billy Nelson cares about Martin Bakole. You can't. I don't care how long a history they have, how long they've been training together. If I'm injured and I can't go on, and my heart and pride, I've already been in the fight for 7, 8, 9 rounds, you know I got the heart to fight this guy. I'm telling you, I'm injured. This is over. When Vitaly did that to Chris Bird, they stopped it. They trainers cared. Billy Nelson took it upon himself to push that man out in the ring, to the point where even the commentators were like, well, maybe somebody else is going to have to come in and stop it. They pushed Bakole out, I think, for the 9th round, and he turned back around and went to his corner like, bro, like, come on, stop the fight. Basically asking them to stop the fight. Don't want to fight. And what happened? He goes out there and now he's got a knockout loss on his record where he could have just retired on the stool due to an injury. That would have saved face a little bit, rather than him going out there and getting stopped by Hunter. Now, if he had 2 arms, maybe he wouldn't have got stopped. Who knows? But that was his night to get stopped. He got stopped, and it was Billy Nelson's fault. That's why I say he's a shit trainer.
And, it's not just the fact, obviously, if anyone's been hiding under a rock or whatever, the fight we're discussing here is Bakole's sole loss to Michael Hunter at York Hall. It's not just the fact, though, that it's in the heavyweight division. It's not just the fact that, he was injured. It's not just the fact he was asking to quit. It's not just the fact that Michael is a former Olympian. But it's also the way the fight was going. It was a one-sided fight from the get-go. The one thing, though, the one kind of the one little factor that I've got where I don't blame. That's
why was Martin Bakole up on the scorecard?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's almost,
why was he up on the scorecard?
I don't want to bring any
It's almost like Billy Nelson. It's almost like Billy Nelson knew that no matter what, if we got to the finish line, we're good. So I'm gonna keep throwing you out there. All you got to do is get to the finish line. We're gonna be good. We're gonna walk away with this. It's gonna be in boxing. It's gonna go down in boxing history as a robbery, but we're gonna get the win. That's what it seemed like. Billy Nelson was thinking in his actions in the corner, like all we got to do is make it to the finish line, and that's no way to treat this sport. This sport is dangerous. Michael could have killed Martin in that last round. He was taking some hellacious shots. There's people dying in the sport. Protect yourself at all times. Who you got in that fight is you and your coach. That's it. When you can't protect yourself, your coach is supposed to protect you. He didn't do none of that.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth, really. About the scores being as close as what they were, which was just bizarre. In all honesty, it was as if someone had told him. Someone had told him that what the scores were. It was crazy. Like I say, he should have been pulled out a lot earlier than the 9th round. The way that fight was going. So it's safe to say then, Hasim, that I don't think we'll see Billy Nelson in your corner at any point in the future.
No, you will not see Billy Nelson work corner. That's not happening.
And like I say, we've discussed a lot of things here. One or two pieces of news I just want to quickly go over. Obviously, the two Eddie Hearn events that have moved. We had Lee Selby and George Kambosos Jr. That one was supposed to take place, I think, on May the 9th. That one's obviously been postponed now to July the 11th. Again, it may or may not go ahead, but it will clash with Dubois Joyce, unfortunately, for those wanting to watch both of those events. And as I mentioned as well, Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin, that one's postponed to July the 4th. Also, they've had to, of course, postpone Alexander Usyk versus Derek Chisora May the 23rd. The original date for that, I'm not quite sure if the new date for that one has been announced. I don't think it has just yet. A nice thing though that Eddie Hearn's come out and done, he's decided to donate tickets to the hospital staff, to the NHS staff over here. 200 tickets per event for a 12-month period. To people that work in that industry. That's going to start happening from when boxing is back on fully, so it's not like it's started already. That's a nice gesture there from Eddie Hearn. That's about it really for the. In fact, there's one other piece of news. Billy Joe Saunders did a video. I haven't watched it, but he released this video where he was basically saying, for those that are in lockdown and stuff like that, if your wife or your girlfriend, whatever, gets on your nerves, this is how to deal with her. And he's hitting a punch bag and stuff like that. I know that he was, clearly joking, but once again, he's gone way too far with one of his jokes. It's not the first time it's happened. It's not probably going to be the last, unfortunately. He seems to just get a crazy kick out of taking jokes too far. It's several times now, several times. I can't keep making excuses for him. A fantastic fighter, but just... very, very, very silly to say the least outside of the ring. The sooner boxing gets back, gets back on and stuff like that, the sooner he can get in the gym, the sooner we'll stop the silliness from happening. But as a result of his silly video, the British Boxing Board of Control have decided to suspend his license, and there's going to be a hearing about that. A little bit harsh, but I just don't know what punishment you can give him that he... that will stop him from doing this stuff, because like I say, he's been heavily fined in the past. That is it though for the news roundup, and like I say, myself and Hasim Jr. have discussed many topics there. It's been quite lengthy, a bit lengthier than I initially thought it'd be. Just before I let you go, Hasim, before I bring in our sole guest on this week's podcast, if you've got anything you want to say, just to sign yourself out, take it away, my friend. It's your time.
I just want to say, thank you to my team, to my head trainer, Hasim, the Rock Rockman, former two-time heavyweight champion of the world, my sports marketing team, B Def. I want to give a huge shout-out to anybody who follows me on any social media. My Instagram is @_JR. My Twitter is @_Hasim Rahman Jr. And anybody that's supporting my chase to the world title, you got my support, and I will fight for you. I'll fight for you. I'll fight for us, and I'm gonna make history. And it's just a matter of time before everybody's on the wave. And I definitely want to send prayers out to anybody who is been devastated by this COVID-19, and just want to encourage everybody to stay safe, wash your hands, keep your hands off your face, and stay home until it is safe to go back outside, because this is not a game. My good friend Travis Kaufman, heavyweight, a world-ranked contender, has COVID-19. He's battling it, and we're praying for him. We're praying for everybody in the boxing community as well as across the globe, that everybody comes out of this healthy, and we keep the death rate, we get it diminished to the bare minimum. And I can't stress enough how much my prayers are with everybody who's affected by this. And you guys, please wash your hands and don't touch your face. And with that being said, protect yourself at all times. It's gold-blooded, sangre de oro, and I'm coming back. So y'all stay tuned.
Very well said, Hasim Jr. Okay, like I say, it's now time to welcome, just before we wrap up all the talking from this week, it's now time to welcome our sole guest on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former British Super-Middleweight champion, the undefeated Mr. Zach Parker. Zach, welcome back on the show, my man.
Yeah, all good, mate. How are you?
Very good, my friend, very good. So, Zach, we last spoke back in December 2018. Obviously, at that time, you were just coming off your win over Williams. I can't remember if you'd been treated at that stage or not about, the shoulder injury. Yeah. Anyway, you only boxed the one time in 2019, obviously a fight against Stephen Cramber on that Taylor Baranchik undercard in Glasgow. Yeah. What was it like to be a part of that card and to be out there, Zach?
Yeah, obviously, boxing on the big shows on TV. It's always a privilege to get on these big shows. Obviously, not every boxer can get on the big shows. So I'm very grateful to Silence and for getting on with these big shows. Yeah, it was good.
And, you've kind of got to look back to 2017 for when you were last, I'd say, very active. I think 5 fights in that calendar year. You did box 3 times in 2018, but obviously since then, we mentioned you've had the injury. Not only that, but obviously as you move up in level, you're naturally less active anyway. But ideally, Zach, how active would you like to be, injuries aside, if it was up to you?
Yeah, obviously I want to be boxing all the time. This is not just it's a job to me as well. Obviously I need the money, but I want to be active. I want to be getting as many fights as I can, learn. I want to be learning all the time. So I want to be fighting at least 5 times a year, I reckon.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Obviously when the bigger fights come up, obviously you got to slow it down a bit. Yeah, either 3 or 4, depends what fight it is. So. Yeah, if it's a really, really hard fight, really tough fight, obviously you're going to take a bit longer off. But yeah, about 4 times a year when you come up to the big time.
Yeah, that's excellent to hear that. And obviously, we got to touch on your last outing, a win on that Quigg versus Carroll undercard. Your fight stole the show, in my opinion, against Rohan Murdock. Just talk us through the fight. It was a lot tougher than I expected he'd be.
Yeah, it was a tough fight. He showed that he weren't number one for no reason. He had a good record. He had 24 wins, 17 knockouts. So he weren't no mug. But it was a good fight. I started off a bit slower, but I came on really strong within the 5th round and started to take over and got the stoppage in the 11th round with big left hand in the end. But broke him down to the body a lot. And he said after the fight, he said that his both 2 of his ribs were and he had to go to hospital after. So I think I just broke him down to the body and then caught him to the head in the last bit.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if I had to be mean and if there's any critical thing I can say, it was that you did get off to a bit of a slow start. You seemed a little bit flat in the early rounds, but
he had a jittery thing where he kept fainting all the time, so I was just working him out of it, you know what I mean? But I got him in the end. Yeah,
and like I say, it was that kind of fight that I watched it and afterwards I just thought, do you know what, that's a massive learning fight there. Am I right in saying that's the kind of fight, that's a perfect kind of fight
definitely,
you need, really?
Definitely, because obviously he started slow and that got to pick it up now and put the gears, get into gear and get the job done in the end. But big learning fight. I learned a lot from it. Obviously, he's gone another 11 rounds as well, getting more experience going through. But it was a good fight. It was.
And like I say, it stole the show. It was the fight of the night. That final punch.
Yeah, a lot of people said that to me as well.
Yeah, that final punch he landed. That massive left hook late on in a fight there. You're showing that you carry the power late as well. Did you know the fight was over? I know he got back up, and credit to him, but the referee did a great job of stopping it.
Yeah, I was ready to keep going, but obviously in the moment you are, aren't you? You want to get him out of there. That's what everyone loves watching box for knockouts. But I seen he was wobbling that, and I reckon I've watched back loads of times with my dad and that. So I think the ref did a good job because he was still unsteady on his legs.
Definitely.
And obviously it was later in the rounds as well. So we was both tired, and you don't know what sort of damage it's doing to you.
Yeah, and like you pretty much said as well, the way you broke him down to the body, it was systematic. It really was. Obviously, Murdock was ranked in that number 1 spot. You were ranked number 2, the champion being Billy Joe Saunders. With this coronavirus delay and everything, and Billy Joe being linked with that Canelo fight, it's seeming like you're going to have to remain patient for a while. But that's surely not such a bad thing, though, Zach, because another 2 or so fights will do you the world of good before challenging for a belt.
That's it. I get a couple more fights from about keep learning. You know what I mean? I'm 25. All the top lads are like 30, 31. So yeah, I can always get a couple of learning fights, and then I'll still be in that number 1 spot. I'm still will be mandatory when obviously you finish with the big fighters if it happens.
And if it were to happen, how do you see that one playing out, Zach?
What, with him and Canelo?
Yes.
Billy Joe and Canelo. I think it'll be a good fight. I think Canelo, he'll be a bit iffy at first because obviously it's southpaw. It'll be a bit like, he will not do, but I reckon Canelo will get him in the end. His levels above, isn't he? And I think Canelo's like up to the top tier. So yeah, I reckon Canelo will get the win.
Points, yeah?
In my opinion. Late stoppage, maybe points. I reckon late stoppage, I reckon. Okay. I reckon he might break him down.
Okay. And I want to ask you as well, Zach, how are you coping with this lockdown situation? Are you staying at home? What have you been up to pass time?
Yeah, stay at home. I've been training that. When I got a new dog the other day, got a little French bulldog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's keeping me on my toes and that. But yeah, been training that. Trying to keep active, yeah, but don't want to stay indoors all day. Otherwise, you'll lose your head, wouldn't you? So,
what's the dog's name?
Ain't been too bad. Arthur.
Oh, wicked.
Like off Peaky Blinders, Arthur.
Okay, wicked. Shout out to
Arthur.
Arthur.
I've got a little Frenchie now. I've got a English like a British bulldog. Okay. His name's Elvis.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah,
so in this time of panic, Zach, the $1 million question: how many toilet rolls have you got in the bathroom?
I got my mum's sort of shopping out, but I think we've got quite a few, to be fair. When everyone started panic buying, my mum was like, "Oh, we're not going to have any to go around, so she had to go and stock up." You know what I mean? You'd rather have it, and then no one wouldn't, otherwise be on newspaper or something.
That's what I'm saying. All these, we're all laughing at all these people going and buying loads of it, and now we're all sitting here scrambling trying to get it ourselves. They're sitting at home laughing at us now.
Yeah, I went to shop today, to be fair. And obviously they're letting only a certain amount of people in, so they ain't panic buying anymore. There's literally got everything, like all the meats, all the toilet rolls, so it ain't too bad now.
Excellent. All right, Zach, listen, just before I let you go, my friend, if you've got any closing words, if there's anything you want to say whatsoever to our listeners before we let you go, now's the time to do so.
Just hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast, and hopefully I'll get some more big fights for you, get some more knockouts.
Absolutely. Listen, Zach, it's always great speaking with you, my friend. Thank you for your time. We hope that once this pandemic has come to an end, that we'll see you continue to reach your potential. God bless.
Yeah, cheers, mate. See you later.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 233 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. I've been joined by the undefeated heavyweight / cruiserweight prospect, Hasim Rahman Jr, for the duration of the show. Please let me know what you thought of this week's podcast. Would you like to hear Hasim Rahman Jr more often on the pod? Let me know. Talking of co-hosts, though, that reminds me, we're going to do a t-shirt competition for a BoxHard t-shirt. All you've got to do is send me a direct message on Twitter or Instagram at BoxHard Podcast with as many co-hosts as you can name that have co-hosted podcasts with myself over the years. Once again, that is to DM me with as many co-hosts as you can remember that have been on the BoxHard Podcast. The person that lists the most wins a t-shirt. It's as simple as that. I'd like to give a massive thank you to our sole guest on this week's podcast, the undefeated former British champion, Mr. Zach Parker, and to his manager, Neil Marsh, for helping set the interview up. Once again, if you want us to discuss any topics on next week's show, if you've got any suggestions whatsoever, send them to us on Twitter, or if you want to nominate a boxer for an interview on next week's show, tweet us on Twitter and tag them. We're trying our absolute best to keep pumping out content, keep pumping out podcasts each week despite the global pandemic. But that is about everything from myself. Thank you all for listening once again, and we shall see you all again next week.